Duncan from the Property Business Show at Excel, and I'm delighted to be joined by Jax Neppers, the founder of Infuna. So welcome, Jax, via South Africa and Silicon Valley to London. How does it feel to be here?
It's great. This is great. This is wonderful. This has been a wonderful show to be at. And we especially like the B2B action that we're seeing here.
And have you had a lot of interest in Infuna?
Actually, this has been really exciting for us because we're rather a startup company. We've been doing this for about 2 years. And so coming to this show, it sort of seems to be bringing together 2 years worth of effort. And we're seeing a lot of companies, and the relationships that we're looking for in the B2B business is really coming together beautifully, and we're really happy to be here.
Brilliant. Now, how were you ideally placed to develop Infuna? Because it's very related to your day job, isn't it?
Well, yes. It was an accident in the extent that in my day job, I am a forensic engineer for 30 years, so all about data collection, all about forensic business, very detailed, very focused.
And huge amounts of data, wasn't it?
Correct. It's all about data and then managing data and databases. So this was a logical sort of development. I realized that what we are doing can be democratized. So it enables people that really don't have to get in the forensic business, but for example in the inventory business, this is a really valuable tool because it does things in a very organized, systematic, science-based, statistically meaningful way to collect data that really democratizes the whole process, brings transparency to what seems to be otherwise a sort of mixed business, and not a very concise or not a very reliable way of data sharing.
And I think to summarize really what Infuna does is it defragments the inventory process, because an analog inventory, you'd have a bit of paper here, a photograph there, and it's all fragmented. But what Infuna does is just bring it all together, and obviously the date and timestamp is so paramount to have a robust inventory that it really streamlines the whole process and makes it a lot more efficient and saves time as well. So what's not to love?
Well, I think this is part of this concept that we bring some of the rigor of the sort of burden of proof, that chain of custody concept. And you're right, of course, when you use digital devices, you do collect that metadata, which is exactly the geolocation, the place you're at, the timestamp, the date stamp. So as a user, that is built into the device. So it really creates for you, when you get into a situation where there are disparities, this is one of the resources you have automatically built into it. But I think the second part is much more compelling, is the sort of data that you collect. If you consider a property and you're getting a history of that property, you're a letting agent, or you're a landlord, or you're an inventory clerk, you can begin to brand yourself as something that is of a higher standard, because you're able to collect this data, create this history, brand it in a way, and perform it in a way that really reflects professional or good professional practice, and more importantly, positions you in a market that you really look good. You look better than your competitors, and you have this resource, so you develop trust. And that trust, not only to the landlord, but to the tenant. Now they know you have this very solid machine behind you, and it's very well considered, and you've branded it in a way that makes you look good. What's not to love about that?
Absolutely, and I think one of the key things that I love about Infuna is the dictation tool, because it literally can just talk into your smartphone and it actually creates dictation, so no worries about illegible handwriting or something getting rubbed out or something like that. It's so simple.
Yeah, when we, again, thinking about how data is collected, we spent about 1.5 years working with early adopters. So our goal was this process of development, working with people in the industry, getting feedback and learning from them what is important. Dictation is important because you never want to take away from people who practice practice in the profession, how they conduct their business. So for us, that was a really important component of developing Imfuna in the UK, because it takes into account a process that they're familiar with. It takes into account professional standards such as published by ALA or REX, and you can apply those by photographs, notes, dictation, and so again you begin to develop your unique brand in this context of professional development.
Indeed, and I think inventories are often a bit undervalued by landlords, and it's only when you have a deposit dispute that then you say, well, thank goodness I've got a really robust inventory. So it's best to have it in your back pocket, I think.
Well, I like the back pocket. That's our concept. If we think about the normal process where you walk around with cameras, bits of paper, you have in your office big filing cabinets, bits of paper, and you're trying to make sense of this, the alternative is a smartphone. You simply walk around with this device in your pocket and off you go. You're in business, and you don't need the office, you don't need the filing cabinets. And I was looking here to pull this camera out of my pocket, but here it is.
And there it is.
So this is your device. And what's really great about this, it eliminates all those other unnecessary pieces, because the data is collected, it's distributed onto a server,
It can be shared.
it is edited and shared on a server. It can be then sent out as in the form of electronic form or a PDF.
It can be printed out.
It can be printed out, it can be agreed to, it becomes embedded, and that's locked down. And then the history. So once you've done that, once you've done a inventory, the next steps are really easy, because from that date forward, all you're really interested are the change in condition. So suddenly the process that might take an hour or 2 hours is now down to fractions of an hour, because you're only interested in that which changed, which is really a great way to run a business.